Everybody, welcome to everybody every sites podcast. Sorry about this. And this is going to be the last episode for this year. And my final guest is a person that I met last year. We met each other on a conference in Krakow. WasteConf, I think. Yeah,
Yeah,
Waste.
yeah.
We were both speakers there. So so his name is Vimalan. Actually, I cannot pronounce your last
That's
name.
correct. No, don't.
Yeah. Sorry for that.
No worries.
He's the owner of a Webflow agency called ViDesign. And Vimalan, welcome to the show.
Hey, man, great being here and really excited. It's been a while since I did a podcast.
Yeah.
I used to do my own sort of show where we interview like Webflow agencies and other people in the Webflow space, but that's like now 4 years old.
Why
Yeah.
Easy to create more, or?
Yeah, because it kind of got quite difficult to schedule things. And I think after a point, we kind of run out of people that we wanted to speak with. Like, I think we covered a lot of the top figures in the space. And then after that, all the questions were about the same. And I kind of got bored of it. I really do enjoy it, but somewhere or other, it just became quite hard to prioritize.
Yeah. I don't have like a lot of listeners to this, but I really like
it. Is very niche, but
I like meeting people and connecting. And I think
you'll be surprised because I thought we didn't have any viewers. We had like 100 people watching it, but so many people, like when you go to like the Webflow conference, everybody asks for that.
Really?
About that podcast. Even now, like even 4 years later, they're like, why aren't you doing more? So it's you think it's very small, but it is actually quite big.
Yeah.
Especially in the Webflow space.
Yeah, I know it can be time consuming and can be difficult to manage with everything because it's not, you can just jump in. You need to still think about some stuff, organize, try to find people,
right questions, edit it, post it up, market. It's like its own thing. If you don't have the time for it, it becomes quite another thing you have to deal with.
Luckily on my side, I don't edit. I just put it raw.
That makes sense.
I kind of like this approach. I think I saw this from Joe Rogan. I think it's also you don't edit anything, and I think it's nice because it's somehow more personal.
It feels a lot more like you're listening to two people.
Just two people talking. Yeah, so which I think it's a great way, and I think people like it. So I'm just gonna keep it like this.
Keep doing it. I think it's gonna be important because I don't think anybody else is doing it anymore.
No, I couldn't find it. People usually, I know that Flow Ninja is creating some videos. It's just, so
I would love to hear people within the industry talk about what they are interested in. Was one of the reasons why we started it like 4 years ago also, but like I was so young, we barely knew what we were doing. So yeah.
Okay. Okay. So this was a bit of an intro, and just wanna, I'll ask you like if you can tell us more about your agency, what you guys do, how you work, maybe just in short. Just to start with.
Yeah, sure. So we are a Webflow design and development agency. We've just finished our 4th year, going into we are now 5th year now. So by next year we'll be finishing our 5th year. So it's great. I've been personally doing this for about the last 6 years, I would say, since 2020. I started around using Webflow. It was a freelancer thing where I was just doing everything by myself. But as we grew, as more projects came through, it kind of organically grew. I had no plans to scale it. I had no idea what I was doing. Like I said, it was just all organic and kind of naturally grew. Right now, we are at our biggest year so far. So we doubled on what we did last year. And the team has also doubled. We have about 25, 30 people in the team.
Oh, that's nice.
It's within the last one and a half years, things has just really exploded. Again, now it's planned. I'm still working my way up, trying to understand what's going on and trying to solve one problem at a time. But it's been
Do
very
you
exciting.
specialize in one certain thing or like Webflow in general?
Just Webflow.
Hmm.
That's something that I decided when I started. I think it was quite niche back then also, and I still feel it's a bit of a niche, but
Hmm.
we really just specialize on marketing websites on Webflow.
Hmm.
So no web apps, no code
Yeah.
building anything. It's just marketing.
Yeah, I found it difficult for us as well to do more like back end or oriented stuff in
Mm.
Webflow.
Yeah,
Requires requires a team to be focused around that so that you can have
yeah,
people that can constantly work with you and be know your process and things. And if you don't do it frequently, there is no point.
yeah. I delved into it because I'm an engineer by background, so I
Mhm.
really enjoyed like problem solving. I like member stack.
Mhm.
I like putting all these tools together. But I think those web app, no code web app agencies have to
Mhm.
be just that. When you try to do both marketing and that, it becomes quite difficult. Um, Also, like pricing for a web app build or more complex build is quite different from a marketing website where the
Mhm.
scope is relatively the same throughout. It's not too difficult. Whereas with like the, as you say, with with the web app stuff, you need
Yeah,
a team for like months. You're working on like one
yeah,
or two projects for like a few months. It wasn't what I wanted to do.
yeah, yeah. We really focused before on one-time projects, but that was very exhausting for me, at least. It's
Yeah,
refreshing for people working
yeah,
with me because it's always something new, something different.
yeah.
You need to constantly try to, find more projects. It can be very exhausting.
Yeah, we are right at that middle stage where we do have some retainers, but a
Yeah,
majority of our projects are one-offs. And yeah, it does feel like it's like a wheel that just never
yeah,
stops.
yeah,
Every single month you're just like, okay, where's the next project coming from?
yeah.
Are we done with the previous projects?
Hmm.
And because it's one-off, most of the time the price is also fixed. So even if the project runs like 4 months, it's so hard to like get the client to understand or try to price that extra
Yeah.
time. Retainers are the best way to go, but they are a lot harder to get or to
Well, yeah,
communicate.
we are now focusing on those retainers more.
Mm,
It's difficult. We tried before, didn't work, but now it's a bit different.
yeah.
Uh, we have more success with it, so we'll see how things gonna go.
Yeah, of course. I think we also realize like now it's a lot more easier than it was a year or year and a half
Yeah,
ago.
yeah,
I think as you start to grow, like retainers, and as workflow starts to grow, I think retainers do become like the norm because people want
yeah,
support. But a few years ago, I struggled trying to sell
mhm,
retainers.
yeah, yeah. Me too. And but I think now everything is becoming a retainer. Like you need to subscribe for pretty much everything. So people are getting used to this kind of system, so maybe
Yeah,
it also makes it easier.
yeah. I think customers are also getting used to it. But more than that, I think there is value to a retainer now with Webflow, especially with all the features.
Mm,
And it needs to be a very specific type of client. Also, I feel like not every client needs a retainer.
of
If
course.
if
Yeah.
they want like regular work, it's the same for all agencies.
Mm.
But I think we're probably just a lot more comfortable talking about it now. Then
Some people have their own team that works and just need someone to execute a certain part of the project,
yeah,
and
yeah,
everything else can be taken care by them, their team, which is fine,
yeah,
right,
yeah.
for everybody. I want to talk a bit about the website problems. So, what do you think? What are the biggest frustrations that people face on the modern websites? Like, is it some technical stuff, or maybe ownership, or something like this?
The most common one I get is ownership.
Hmm.
Um, a lot of them are looking, lucky enough, a lot of the leads and clients that we do get now know
Hmm.
what is Webflow, so they're not coming in blind. And most of the time they're looking at Webflow because they want more control over it. Um, they usually have like a legacy CMS like Craft or
Yeah,
WordPress or other quite challenging, difficult tools to maintain. And they can see how slow it is, how difficult it is for them, especially for marketing to to add new pages, to add new blog posts. And sometimes, most of the time, those sites also don't look very good compared to a lot of the modern sites. And that's something that a lot of leads and clients come to us always specifically mention these 2 points.
Yeah.
It's never about conversions or anything like that. That usually is like a different segment. We do get some clients like that when they want conversions and they want more customers through the website, but 90% of those customers already are on Webflow, so it's a different challenge with that. But most of the CMOs, especially in like the growth stage or enterprise stage,
Mhm.
they're just looking to move away from like bloat, have more control over the website, look a
Mhm.
little bit more modern as well. That's especially in the new age of like AI, where like those AI company sites look stunning, whereas these
Yeah.
legacy companies always look dated and old. So that's also a big shift for us, especially from a marketing point of view.
Mhm. And if you think, because now some of not all people are technical, some of them don't know where they should migrate to.
Yeah,
Most of them are on WordPress, as I,
yeah,
as I know, and a lot of them want to get out of the WordPress.
yeah,
Do you think these kind of issues are one of the reasons why they want to get out of the platform or any other platform?
yeah. I think specifically WordPress migrations, we've done quite a few in the last couple of
Yeah.
years, and a lot of them, as I said, they know Webflow, so they're not coming in asking for what's the best platform. They know they want to move to Webflow and they know why they want to do it. And then for us, it's just about reinforcing that it is the right move. It
Yeah.
is the platform that they can trust. It can scale. So there's nothing Webflow can't do right now that WordPress can do. There are certain things that sometimes we say it's better to stick with WordPress when they have very complex builds or very complex CMSs, or
Yeah.
sometimes it's just like some of the plugins they use is not available. That's the only time we say we can't do it on Webflow, but otherwise like 80-90% of the times everything can be migrated over.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
I heard that. I mean, in my experience, some people don't really know about Webflow. It's just uh,
Okay.
looking for migration or looking for a refresh, more ownership,
Hmm. Hmm.
and they're looking for different solutions. And nowadays, I'm starting to see some people offering AI uh, built websites. What's your take on that?
I I risk coming across like a boomer, but
Yeah.
at this stage I still feel like AI is still a tool and I don't think it's gonna replace what we do at the moment.
Mm,
And even down the line, I will again, being in industry, I do struggle to see how AI could replace a team or the thinking part of a human. Like the way we think, the way we
yeah.
interact with the websites are so random that
Yeah.
I feel like the AI model will always just spit out the most generic crap because it is looking at everything and trying to find the most common point.
Mm,
I've seen So the first thing that AI replaced was copywriting. I think that's something that everybody just pretty much said we
mm.
are going to use AI to copyright. But in the last 6 months alone, we have seen the reverse, where clients don't want to use AI
Yeah, they're
and
getting
they
back.
want a human to write the copy. And anytime, even if a human puts a M dash, they're like, let's remove it because that looks like AI. So it's
Yes.
almost like a
It is
complete
grammatically
opposite.
correct. Yeah.
Yeah, they're like, oh, can we tone it down a little bit? Can we make it a little bit more human? That's something I keep getting a lot in the last year or so.
Mm,
So I would say the shift will happen where AI design tools and development tools gets popular, but it almost will reverse back to people wanting the site to look a lot more human, a lot
mm.
more custom rather than just be a template. I still feel like there will be a need for us at least the next
Yeah.
3 years.
Yeah.
Maybe
No,
I'm naive, but that's what I
no, I
feel.
feel that as well. I don't think um, it's just you don't have control over the things, and if
Yeah,
something happen, it can be very difficult to fix. Uh,
yeah,
and like you said, I would rather use AI for strategic approach. That's it's
yeah,
very good in that.
yeah. For
And
thinking to
even
challenge your
can
ideas. Yeah,
yeah, even can it can generate some text, but you need
yeah,
to go through it and change things. If
yeah.
you do that, then it's a mess.
And sometimes clients just, again, I think people confuse AI with cost savings, but most of the time, clients just want time
Okay.
saving. They
Yeah.
don't want to deal with it. They don't want to go and prompt a million times to get a website. They rather just tell one person and they deal with it. I think that's something that a lot of people forget, that usually companies are trying to find time savings, not cost savings. So if they can give it to somebody and not worry about it and try to bring in more customers, they will definitely do that rather than try to pay somebody to put, 10,000 prompts
Mhm.
just to get a hitting. Um, yeah, a lot of the fear mongering is usually people try to sell you courses, or I think it will replace those low level jobs where the Upwork and the Fiverr level work will be replaced. That I
Yeah.
can guarantee, but the higher level stuff like strategy, thinking,
Yeah. No. No.
custom designs, that I just don't think
Yeah. Yeah.
it
I
will
mean,
take.
it should replace some stuff that's just automated, which
Yeah,
automate things. But
yeah,
obviously, when you work with people, like you said, it needs to be created from the people. I mean, it
yeah.
can't be created by
I mean,
the
as a very small company like ourselves, I cannot imagine sitting there and like prompting to get copy for a website. Like, I just feel like there's a billion other things that I could be doing,
Yeah.
and you can only imagine like that multiple like another 100 times for like a company or like an enterprise company where, yeah,
Mm.
they just really don't have the time to deal with all of this, and they rather pay to get things done quickly.
What would you say? It's like a silent killer on the performance of the website. Maybe like mid-sized companies. We don't. I
Oh,
mean, no, a lot of things depends, but like a mid-size website.
performance as in like loading speeds or conversions, or
Well, the silent killer in general. What could we label something like that?
I think on my end, I would say poor design. Um,
Hmm.
Usually people, especially marketing performance, if they're looking at like conversions and click-through rates and lead bookings and all of that, they always focus on like the most obvious things, like can we add more call to actions? Can we add one more link, one more page? But they always miss out that people will interact if the design looks good, if it is interesting. That's usually something that especially marketing people or like performance marketers don't understand, is like sometimes you cannot explain why that design will work, but you
Hmm.
just know it will work because it builds trust, or it looks better, it looks different to others, or it just looks nice. Like if things look nice, people will click on it and spend more time on it rather than adding like it's a silent killer because there's no way to track it. You cannot say make it look this way and it's going to improve conversion 10 times. We cannot say that. So that's usually something where we get stuck when we're designing it. Like intuitively we know like this design will work, or this color will work, or
Yeah.
this layout will work, but we cannot test it, we cannot show them or
Yeah.
put any data. And that's something that we always feel like people
Yeah.
don't understand from
Yeah.
a marketing point of view.
Yeah. Yeah. You create persona. You know what this type of people like. Uh,
Yeah,
create for them. You can A/B test uh sections
yeah,
and stuff. But like
yeah,
we said, like specific like look and feel, that's difficult
yeah,
to track. Yeah, I agree with
yeah. The other one is, which is also a big one, is copywriting. Um,
that. Okay.
that is something, again, a lot of marketing people don't mention or don't think about immediately.
Hmm.
Only when they work with the copywriter, that's when they realize, oh yeah, we are not saying anything that we want to say on the website.
Yeah.
And it's also exaggerated a lot more with AI now, where when they give us the copy, it just looks so AI written. And when you read it, you just don't know what they actually do, or like there's no value in that copy. And they always start with like, oh, let's redesign the website, or let's add 10 more pages. But then all we can just say is like your copy is so bad, like get a copywriter to fix
Yeah.
it. That's a second silent killer. Like this too, like most of the time people just don't think about, and they always start trying to add more buttons to the website.
Yeah. I mean, there is one thing that we started to notice one because nowadays we are focusing a lot on SEO and AEO,
Mm.
and obviously when you want to focus on that, you also want to work around keywords. And one of the things that people don't do properly is implementing the primary keyword on the page. And I
Yes.
heard many times because you need to have it in H1 and H2, the
Yeah.
first paragraph. And many times people, like clients told me like, oh, do we need to have it here? Can we put it somewhere else? No, we need to have it there.
Yeah.
try to match it because this is what gonna help you with your ranking. Don't put
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. And sometimes I think it's also like they focus on the wrong things with the
Yeah,
keywords,
yeah.
where if it's an AI company or something, they really focus on the technology side of things,
Mhm.
whereas nobody's actually searching for technology; they're searching for a solution or a fix to a problem. Again,
Yeah.
that's something that people don't understand sometimes, is that they forget who the customers are, and they almost build a website for themselves to showcase the stuff that they are doing, but it's never what the customer wants to see.
Do you guys have any certain process that you guide your clients through so that maybe help them realize some stuff as much as you can, at least?
Yeah, so recently we started doing like a kickoff document that we
Mm-hmm.
get all the clients to fill out before we start any project.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of the questions are about themselves and the company. So it's about their value proposition, their market
Mm-hmm.
positioning, who are their competitors, what is so unique about them that the competitors do not have. All of these questions gets them to think from a customer's point of view, like what they want to say.
Yeah.
And then now we have also started asking about copywriting. So last year we never did it. We just asked the client to provide us with the copy, but there's always been a challenge trying to get trying
It's
to
in,
get copy from them,
yeah.
and also trying to get good copy from them. So now we are also just asking them whether they have copy, they don't have copy, and even if they do, can we actually see it before we start the project, so we can
Mm-hmm.
then best advise if it's good or if it's bad. So that's usually the process that we're trying to follow. We had some success where immediately after the kickoff document, it kind of aligns everybody on the project, like what we actually need to do with the website.
Yeah.
Without that, we had our own agenda, they have their own agenda, and there was no communication between those. And it's also important when you're working with like designers, where the designer's agenda is to make it look pretty, but for a marketing point of view, it's like it has to look pretty, but it also has to work and it has to
Yeah.
function. You have to hit a
Need to
deadline.
convert, yeah.
Yeah, it has to convert. So it's like trying to align everybody, and that the kickoff document has been very, very helpful.
We have some interesting thing where we try to include a decision maker in the process,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
we always talk about we talk about the competitors. We create personas, user personas. Then they have like
mm,
user journey map where we go through together with those personas to see
yeah,
how people hear about them. Then
mm,
what kind of steps they need to do in order to achieve a certain goal. And
yeah.
during
Or like where the website comes in the sales process, because some clients it's like the
yeah.
first thing customers see, and then they convert. Sometimes the other way around, where they meet customers on like events or trade shows or referrals, and then the website's like the last thing that they see. So it's like two different priorities. Like when it's the first thing that they see, it's about building trust, showing the value. If it's the last thing, it's about just confirming all the things that they have already seen before. So
Mhm.
all of that we don't have a document for all of those, but these are like questions I usually ask during the first call or the second call, just to
Yeah,
try to understand like what the company does.
yeah, that's good. That's good. And is maybe you said this, but um, I mean, is Webflow something that you started with? And is if it is or if it's not, so what made you start with Webflow at first place?
I I can't remember, but I do remember like when 12 years ago when I was trying to build like blogs for myself.
Hmm.
WordPress was the one that I started with, but
Yeah, me too.
I just never understood how it worked. So
Yeah, me too.
the blog never went live. And then I've used Squarespace and Wix to like build
Yeah.
random stuff myself, but
Hmm.
because I have a coding background,
Hmm.
I started out coding like learning HTML and CSS.
Hmm.
So I knew a lot of those before I built any websites. And then when I got started with the kind of freelance 5, 6 years ago, I initially started with custom coding websites. I thought I will design it from scratch and build it from scratch, hand code everything, and not use WordPress. I thought that was a differentiator. And then while I was doing that, I just ran into so many issues trying to code a website. Mainly because it's like you type out your code, you have to then go to another tab to see it host it to see whether it actually works or it doesn't. You
Yeah.
come back, you type another bit of it was so disjointed. And then randomly I just found Webflow. Again, I wish I remember how I found it, but um, I just found it and it just clicked instantly. Like it was exactly what I was doing when I was coding, but it was so visual. And then because it was so quick and for me I could see how I can get customers and how to differentiate myself. It kind of eventually quickly got me to get my first client. And I've
Mm.
just been using Webflow since then. I tried like all the other tools
Yeah.
here and there, but nothing matches Webflow.
I know that people really don't like when I speak bad about WordPress. I mean, WordPress community, but
Yeah.
really, just like yourself, was very difficult for me to learn it. I mean, they say
Yeah.
Webflow has a steep learning curve, but I think in WordPress is much steeper because it's very difficult to find how things work. Then you need to install this, you need to install that, you need this plugin, is that plugin. It depending on the time on the team, that depends what you can do. In Webflow, it's not like that. You just dive in and just start creating. There is none of this stuff. So it's
Yeah.
much easier for me. I have a design background, but it was much easier for me to dive into Webflow and learn it than WordPress. The WordPress I gave up like
Yeah, safe.
yeah. And I know that you guys created a lot of tools by yourself.
Yes.
Some of them are
Yep.
pretty good. Pretty good. I think one of the tools I liked is the one for multi-step form. I don't know what was the name.
Informally. Yeah.
Yes, and it's very nice. And
Indeed.
are you still working on the tool? What's the situation with these things?
No, unfortunately, we no longer do it.
Okay.
Mainly, so we started with tools because we were inspired by the community like a
Hmm.
few years ago where it was very active. There were, like FinSuite obviously still does it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But there were like Relium, there was Refocus, there was so many tools and products coming up every other day on Twitter with the Webflow. Um,
Hmm.
so I was inspired mainly by FinSuite on like how they build this tools where everybody could use it. So it just makes like complex things a lot easier to use. So
Hmm.
when I found that a very good differentiator. So when I started with Webflow, I started building clonables, like very complex interactions or very creative websites that I used to do on my free time, and I put it out as clonables. And I think it was around 2021 where like when you put out a clonable every week, it updates or every day it updates based on people cloning it. This was in the Facebook group. I'm not sure if you were aware, but yeah, used to get a lot of clones.
Uh-huh.
I get like 600, 1,000 clones every month on like all
Okay.
the clonables. And
Hmm.
I used to get a lot of clients from those as well, like quite big clients. They will be like looking for things to build themselves, and then they land across one of the clonables, and they'll reach out.
Okay.
And then that naturally transitioned into um, like a product where we thought like building multi-step forms have been quite difficult. All the existing workflow solutions were using sliders and
Yeah.
tabs.
Very
It
difficult.
was not, yeah, it was not very user friendly.
Yeah.
And the alternate was to use something like Typeform, which again most clients don't want to use.
Mm.
So we initially was supposed to be a clonable, where we built like one version of the multi-step form. People just clone it and use it. But then as we started building it, we realized like there's so many features that we were adding,
Mm.
and then we decided to spin it off as its own product with proper documentation, help centers, and
Yeah.
all of that. It blew up, so it's still one of the most valuable products we have. Still makes money. Um,
Mm.
yeah, so we tried to do that for like 2 years. We launched like multiple other products, other solutions like video players, and then we were working on like 5 other tools.
Yeah.
There was like a custom slider tool that we built, didn't get launched. We built like our own tables, so HTML tables on Webflow, where you
Hmm.
can customize it and you can use the CMS to create tables and stuff. Very
Nice.
powerful,
Yeah.
works,
Yeah.
but again, didn't go live. We just realized like as we were when we were small, it was okay for us to, at least my time was split between products and agency.
Time consuming thing.
And yeah, and we didn't have a lot of client work also. So it was just natural to do a lot of like product work.
Mhm.
I really enjoyed it. I like testing it. I like thinking of ideas and
Mm.
building the marketing side. Like the Formally was a really great example. And then as we started to grow, it started to take a lot more of my time in the agency side, trying to get clients, trying to get people, grow the company. And then the product stuff started to become like a secondary thing.
Okay.
Um, and to a point where I just barely have any energy or time
Mm.
to test the features, test the products, create the marketing side, create the documentation, do the support. Like all of that just became so tiring that
Yeah.
eventually it just tapered down to like we just stopped releasing stuff. And then I think around a year and a half ago, we just decided we're going to stop creating products anymore. Just because I couldn't find anybody to own it on our end, because it's probably like the last thing that you can hire is somebody who understands Webflow, understands design, understands development, understands marketing, can test the product. It's such a
One
niche.
person job,
Exactly. It's like I wish I can clone myself, but
Yeah.
I struggled. I try to get the developers to do it. I try to find other people to do it, but it just
It's
became
more expensive to maintain than to.
yeah, we weren't making a huge amount of money from the products
Mhm.
itself to warrant somebody to own
Yeah.
it or like
Yeah.
to build a team around it. Hindsight, I could have taken some money out of the agency side and fund it,
Yeah.
but
But
it would have not made any money back or give us
yeah.
any returns. Like kind of as a small company, it just didn't make sense for us to do
Mhm.
that. So yeah, kind of went on pause and we transitioned all our developers into like the agency
Yeah.
side.
Yeah. I mean, it's good to invest, to take money from an agency, the work to put into this, but only as you
Only
know,
if you have access.
payoff.
Yeah. Yeah. When you
Otherwise,
know there's a
it pull you down.
Yeah,
Then.
otherwise it's just like it took a lot of time and it then also started taking a lot of money. Then it became like I couldn't see the value in it.
Mhm.
And because there was no overarching plan, so I couldn't even justify why we were spending it. So we kind of froze that. But I do want to get back to like trying to build products or
At what
try
point?
to, yeah, at one point I think it is very interesting and it sets you apart.
Mhm.
And even some clients
Different.
now do ask us like, "Oh, you do build product yourself?" And like, "Yeah, we do." It is interesting, but you do need a team behind it. You cannot
Yeah. Yeah.
do it as
Yeah.
like
I
a
understand.
founder.
I mean, I think that companies like FinSuite and Reloom, they were fortunate enough to build a tool that
Yeah,
everybody will use, and
yeah,
will just they can arrange team. I mean, I think FinSuite is still an agency, right? They still
yeah,
build client projects.
yes, yeah.
But the client
Really
first so
shifted.
big,
Yeah,
yeah, that they also can do some things with him. Uh,
yeah. I think the FinSuite model was what I was trying to mimic, but I think yeah, I think they probably had like a lot of experience with company building and team building. They kind of knew how to scale it up. I didn't know. I still don't know.
yeah.
But yeah, I still do think for me, I think the best part was when you go into like the Webflow events or when you meet other Webflowers, they instantly recognize you because of all the tools that you have done. I
Mhm.
really enjoy that that experience. Like people just know you, they come up and speak to you. And then
Right.
recently, it's just because now I've been so like agency focused.
Yeah.
People only the old batch knows us, and the new ones barely. Even if they know the tool, they don't know who built it. Yeah, so like
But how do you see this no code tools evolving in the next couple of years? In Webflow, for example, do you think they're gonna keep evolving at all, or especially with
I,
AI?
controversial take. I think it has completely like stalled compared to like what we had like 3 years ago. I think now it's just everybody's building so many tools that none of it gets highlighted. I know the Webflow app stuff is there, but I don't think I ever use any of those. Only like a
Yeah, me
select,
too. This
a
just
very, very, I use the FinSuite one. I use a couple
yeah,
of other ones, but
yeah.
other than that, nobody, like all the other tools, either it's for marketing or just visibility wise, you just don't see it.
Mm,
Um, I do know like there's a lot of people building all those apps and tools and stuff, but I don't know if people are actually using it.
mm,
And it's also because because these tools are targeted towards developers and designers. and there's no central community anymore. Like it used to be the Facebook group, and then it became Twitter, and then now it's just so
There's a Reddit a
scattered.
little bit, but it's not.
Yeah, it's like everywhere. Like people on there's
Yeah.
no one place for all of these people to meet up. It kind of becomes very difficult to launch new tools to those communities.
And what
Um,
about Slack? Webflow has this Slack, the private Slack channel for partners. What
yeah,
about
we do have it, but I don't know if people ever post on it. I never posted
Uh,
anything on
I
it.
don't. Yeah, I don't know as well. I saw that some people are active, but I don't
Yeah,
know many really. I don't think it.
yeah. So it's like yeah, I just feel like it's the community itself is kind of split
Mm,
across, and I think previously it was also we launched like formally, it was completely free to use, and even the paid plan was like very affordable, very cheap. I
mm,
think it was all because of that everyone else was doing like free tools, like FilmSpeed had free tools, and it became like a community thing where we just wanted to do it for free. It was not doing it for money.
yeah.
But now I've sensed a shift in it.
Mhm,
Everything has become paid, everything is becoming a subscription.
yeah.
And it kind of took away from the whole was like a very nice community stuff that people were doing. Now it becomes like its own business, which is not wrong, but I I think that's also a point where people kind of just switched off from the whole community stuff because all the new tools that were launching, they were just
Yeah.
another subscription. And even like some of the big players got into like some trouble when they start charging for things that used to be free
Yeah.
or started charging for things that
Yeah.
technically could have been free. Um, yeah, so I just feel like the whole product stuff
Well, me
has
personally,
stalled.
yeah, me personally, I don't like using apps in Webflow that much. And
Yeah,
it's okay if there is certain apps that really helps you with a project.
yeah,
Form is very good for multi-step form because Webflow don't have a proper solution for that.
yeah,
Loom is pretty good if you want to build website fast.
yeah,
Client first and Lumos obviously for class structure and
yeah.
things like this. Even in OptiBase for A/B testing, but still, there I don't like this approach because it reminds me of WordPress. You know,
WordPress, yeah,
like plugins, like
yeah,
everything starting to evolve around that. I
yeah. But
very much prefer that Webflow creates all of these things natively. I think that's
yeah,
much better.
I think that's also like the other point is like, I think now I've seen on LinkedIn where people spend like months building an app only for Workflow to just build it themselves in like a couple of months down the line. I think people started building like those AI apps where it generates like the alt tags and meta description schemas, and then one day Webflow announces that's already baked in. So
Mm,
it kind of becomes a bit difficult for people to build apps because you don't know what Webflow is going to do next or what they will
yeah,
just replace.
yeah.
So people just stop building it. Like people will either build more complex stuff or they just stop building
Or maybe you think
entirely.
like Webflow saw that, oh, this app is good. Let's create some native solution for that one.
It could be that, or it's just like sometimes, as you say, it just makes sense for Webflow just to build it natively if
Yeah.
it's being used by every customer. Like the AI stuff. There's also one more where oh yeah, so the whole Webflow before the Webflow AI
Hmm.
announcement where it's going to generate components, like we were already thinking about, oh, imagine it'd be cool if we can pass all of the website context to like an AI model and then train our own model to build our own Webflow AI sort of thing where it builds websites using components. And we had like a working prototype, but then halfway, like just very quickly, we just realized like one day Webflow is going to build this. Like there's no
Yeah.
way they will
Yeah.
just give this to somebody else. We just stopped building it. And I know like a couple of other people also had like a very similar idea and they just stopped building it. Um, it's just that it's a weird point where there's a marketplace, but then Webflow is also adding features and tools themselves to the point where it kind of cancels each other out. And yeah, eventually people aren't
Yeah.
going to be using all of those labs.
But talking about Webflow as a CMS platform, what do you think uh, put Webflow in front of maybe other CMS platforms like WordPress or Wix? Wix Studio is now, I think, pretty decent. Framer is there as well. What do you think why people would choose the Webflow CMS over that one?
I think it's the whole integrated solution thing where you can like it's one view, like everybody has the same view,
Mm-hmm.
and you can just go in and create a new collection, add a new the UI and how to access it is very easy for customers. It looks daunting, but just a one quick Loom video or an explanation just
Yeah,
answers all those questions.
yeah,
Whereas
yeah.
with things like Craft and other legacy CMS, you don't even know where to access those blog posts. Like when I go into WordPress to export certain things, and I'm like, where is the collection? Where are all the collections?
Yeah.
It's all like so random. It's so hard to export things out. It's so hard to see all of your blog posts and edit it. Like I think in terms of user experience, Webflow wins. Now,
Mm-hmm.
when we compare it to like Frame, I've not used it too much, but I think it's because the UI of Webflow is a lot more simpler. Um, Weirdly enough, because it's so restricted in terms of like breakpoints are very
Yeah,
clear. You
I
know
like that.
exactly where to click
Yeah.
around. Like it is less flexible, like something like Framer, but because of that, it just makes it a lot easier for customers to not get
Mhm.
overwhelmed when they're on the website, but they just see like one viewport and then they can just go into the CMS quickly. Um, but I also feel like it's the first mover advantage. They were one of the first ones to break into the market, one of the
Yeah,
first ones to get that popularization.
yeah.
That intuitively we have more Webflow developers than there are like Wix Studio developers or Wix
Yeah.
Studio agencies. It just becomes a very common thing for people to use Webflow, I think. Even if a better tool exists, I know like is it WeWeb or something?
I don't
Um,
know.
there was one, I don't know, it was like a competitor, it's an open source tool that has
Mhm.
very similar features to Webflow.
Hmm.
Forgot what was it called.
But you know that in WordPress you have this bricks, which is exactly the same copy of,
Yeah.
but it's still
Yeah.
WordPress. I mean, the
Yeah, still
ecosystem is
WordPress.
important. Yeah.
Yeah. There are like other alternatives, like there are some really good ones that I think it's called Web Studio.
Hmm.
Um, I think I've
But
heard really good things about it, but people don't use it
yeah,
because
and
yeah,
it
just Webflow is
needs a lot
comfortable.
of time to get it popular. But
Yeah.
when you talk about the CMS, did you maybe try the Buffalo MCP server? Because that is something I was looking into and can
Yes.
be very nice for my content migration, which we struggled before, can be very consuming, especially when you migrate from WordPress to Webflow content. But I feel like MCP server can be very nice. Did you try it maybe before?
I've not personally tried it, but I know our developers had used it to bring in all the collections
Yeah, yeah.
from a different project or a different workspace into the new one. I know I've seen a couple of videos where they
Mhm.
teach you how to use like AI to generate like blog posts
With
through the
Claude.
MCP, yeah,
Also.
with Claude and then push it live. But beyond that, I don't know what people use it for. I'm out of the loop, but I do know it is powerful. But I'm just completely out of the loop right now with all of
Well,
it.
we did it very manually. There is some plugin for Press, obviously, where it allows you to export content as CSV file. And
Yes, and then
then,
we import it. Yeah.
yeah, but we had a lot of issues before because sometimes all of these things get very messy, very
Mm-hmm.
disorganized because of the way that is exported from WordPress.
Mm-hmm.
And right now we work in one project, and I told my team, okay, let's try using Webflow MCP. So as soon as we use it, probably going to be in a few days. I'm going to post
Mm.
in about that. So to let
Yeah, that'd be interesting to
how,
see.
yeah, how it
Yeah,
works.
see the agency use of it because right now I still find it easier to just export the CSV from Webflow and then just import WordPress and then just import it into Webflow.
Hmm.
Usually we do run into like errors sometimes, but then we just use like a VA or somebody to quickly copy and
Hmm.
paste things. Like it still feels a lot
Well,
faster,
it can
but
be a problem if you have a lot of collections, if you have thousands,
yeah,
and then it
yeah.
can be a big
the
problem.
the last time when we had like I think 3,000-4,000 CMS collection, what we did is we exported the CSV. We used Airtable, and then from Airtable we cleaned the data and then we synced it to Webflow. Barely had any issues, but yeah, it was time consuming that we
Yeah.
had to do all that process. But if we can if there's a tool where it just connects WordPress to Webflow and it
Well,
just syncs everything, that will be a
I think
big.
the MCP supposed to do that because
Yeah,
I don't know yet, but we're going to use it. I really want to give it a shot and hope it's gonna work because that could be a
that could be. Yeah,
lifesaver. Yeah.
yeah. I wish
So
Webflow or somebody does like more videos or tutorials on like how to use this MCP or why you would use this, rather than
well,
just like a
I think this Webflow's CDO Alan, he
yes.
posted something about this, but I didn't watch any videos, so we will. I mean, I was we start
Yes.
using it, you know, then we're gonna
Yeah,
watch.
no. Yeah. I
Um,
wish like
but
Timothy Ricks or somebody does it.
I like how Webflow works with AI because yes, they did create like everybody else parts of the website where you can with prompts generate a website. But
Yeah,
I think that's because just because everybody else have it. But I like the way they implement AI on this everyday tasks. You know, they
yeah,
just speed up your
yes,
workflow. Like you
yeah,
now you have AI to generate the schema markup. You have
yeah,
AI to generate alt text, which I was asking for months. You know that's a lifesaver. But
yeah,
again, it's still on a basic level. I know they will improve because okay, I like to have this auto generated, but then if I am if I am looking to generate something towards a certain keyword or certain positioning. I want to be able to add that information to AI before it generates. Otherwise, it's just going to do automatic,
yeah,
basic stuff.
yeah, yeah. I do like they use it for like those menial tasks or like things that
Mm,
could have been quickly,
yeah.
it saves a lot of time. But
Mm,
yeah, then they also had to do the typical thing of like, oh, we're gonna allow you to generate components and stuff, which I don't think a lot of people were excited when they saw it because it was not,
I don't.
yeah,
Yeah.
it was not there yet. Um,
But the alt text image generation was a
yeah,
life-saving feature
yeah,
because you need to have it, and it's just very annoying when you need to do it for every single image. And like this, well, yeah, it's
yeah, that was a lifesaver.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um, yes. Okay. So, what I wanted to ask, yeah. So, what do you think about all of these changes that Webflow announced this year on the on a conference. Do you think some of those improvements get your attention? You think are improvements at all, or it's just hype?
To So I was actually very excited for the Webflow conference this year, just to
Mhm,
see because they announced a lot of the big features before the conference.
mhm,
Like the multi-design mode, multiple collaborating mode,
mhm,
the AI stuff. All of those was already announced. And then I was just like excited to see what. So that means like they have saved like the best for the conference. And then
mhm.
during the conference, I think I started watching like the first 5 minutes, but it just went on so long. It was so repetitive, so boring. I just switched off and
Right.
I just asked the team what was the catch up. They all just said nothing was interesting. The most interesting stuff was like the Webflow AI stuff. But
Yeah.
even then, I think it was so underbaked or like not well thought of, like to the point where people just felt like they just announced it for the sake of it. But there was no date on when it was going to go live and all of that. So it just didn't feel like it didn't give me the excitement that it used to a couple of years ago.
Mhm.
Um, yeah,
Well, now things are becoming much more difficult to publish. But well, did you try this thing? I forgot what was it for the code. Something like a
Tab Gen, is it?
components, maybe
No,
to code components or something like this.
no, we didn't try that. No, they did
No.
announce it, but it just didn't feel like it was like a Webflow conference feature. It could have just been like a tweet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they needed to announce something. But what do you? I mean, based on all of this, what do you think? What do you expect Webflow will do in the next year or so?
Good question. I've I feel like they'll probably just focus more on like the AI stuff.
Hmm.
Trying to be like the first company that does good AI components and stuff like that. But other than that, the main limitation to Webflow was like the CMS stuff, which they kind of fixed it.
Yeah,
It was the you can only have one person on the design mode, which they're kind of fixing it right now with the collaboration mode. But yeah, other
brand.
than that, I do you know any other big limitations to Webflow besides? I really don't think anymore. Like there's
No.
any big feature that is
Uh,
missing.
well, branching is nice, but too bad it's restricted only for enterprises. I,
Yeah, we have the
maybe
enterprise
it makes
workspace.
sense, but maybe it makes sense only to have it for enterprise because does small teams really need that feature? Really? I mean, it's usually just like 2 or 3
Can give you an
people.
insight. Like we have the enterprise branching workspace. We
Hmm.
we barely use it.
Yeah,
Even enterprise clients barely use it. Um, Mainly because it makes no sense.
yeah.
To because yeah, most of the time people like they don't have. Again, I think some of the use case clients are like very large. They have like 1,000 people or something like that. Then I can see why branching and all that makes sense. But for a lot of those small to medium sized enterprise customers, branching really becomes very annoying
Hmm.
because you can create all of your changes, but only who has design access can merge it. So it kind of beats the whole point of what is the point of branching, if that makes
Yeah,
sense. It sounds very cool, but we have never used it, and anytime we try to use it, it just becomes more of like a pain in the ass.
yeah. I
We'd
mean,
rather have multiple people on. Like, I would instead of branching, I think what would have been more useful was just having more people with design access, not on the same page, but at least on different pages, so you can have one person on the pricing page, one person on the
mhm.
home page.
Yeah,
That would have been more useful.
yeah.
But
That's nice. It's a nice
yeah,
approach.
hopefully the collaboration feature comes soon because that I think will save a lot of
I mean, just
time.
mentioning it because it happened to me a couple of times that some of our clients that someone from their team pushed something live that shouldn't be live, and then it made a lot of issues.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that happens, but
Yeah.
again, I don't think branching will solve that. I think it's
Mhm.
just about like would have been interesting to see if there's like backups on like a per page level or something like that. They
Yeah.
can always revert back to an
Most
old
annoying thing
version.
about the backup is that if I have something scheduled, everything is going to be unscheduled, and
Yeah,
it's so annoying because especially
yeah,
I like to we like to schedule a lot of articles in advance.
yeah,
And once time happened that our developer used backup, like everything went in draft, so I didn't know which one's supposed to go when. So
yeah,
that was very annoying.
yeah.
So be careful, people, when you are using backup. Be aware that whatever you have scheduled will not be
Will get
scheduled.
unscheduled. Yeah, always always check with the team before you publish
Yeah,
anything, or
yeah.
just check with
I mean,
your
yes,
agency.
I mean, at the end of the day, it's just about the communication.
Yeah,
Um,
we always recommend clients to nominate one person to be the only
yeah,
point of contact to publish, and
yes.
only if they are away or something, give it to somebody else. But that also goes for us. Like we don't push, especially for enterprise clients, we don't push anything live. We get the clients to push it live so that they know, who's working on other things or
Mhm.
whatever. But yeah, that's something.
Um, and when we talk about your services, what you guys things you guys do, I mean, are you more focused on like this one-time projects now, or more like on a growth with conversion tracking and SEO and things like this?
So our goal is to still stick with one-time projects,
Mm-hmm.
mainly because it's it's easier to manage, especially if you're like a project manager and like exactly what needs to be done.
Uh-huh.
One-off projects, if it's scoped out really well, I think it's a lot easier to manage.
Yeah,
And it's
right.
also quite interesting because you work with new clients every few months or something like that.
Mhm.
So you're not just kind of stuck working with the same clients like all the time, which
Mhm.
I feel like can get repetitive and a bit stale. So for us, that is still a priority, but we still want to get more retainer clients. I think right now 20, 15, 20% of our revenue comes from retainers. And the goal is to try to push that to about 35 to 40%.
Yeah.
So almost half of the goal for next year is to come from retainers, mainly because with retainers, we feel like we have a lot more ownership of the project. We can suggest changes. We can be more open about our opinions because we are not locked in by a scope or a budget or a
Yeah,
timeline.
yeah. You
And
have
we,
KPIs that you need to reach.
yeah, so we can be like, hey, look, we saw this. We just don't think it's the best approach. Do you want us to redo it? Like we can do suggestions like that. It feels a lot more
Hmm.
collaborative. And clients also do share more data with us when we're on a retainer where they share
Yeah.
like sales data, analytics data. They tell us what is
Good
their
for your case
goals.
study.
Yeah, so it's like good for case studies, but it's also
Yeah.
good to see like a lot of our decisions actually make sense and pays them back
Mhm.
in multiple folds.
Yeah.
Um, and
I agree.
yeah, a lot of the time retainers also have clients a lot more understanding.
Hmm.
They're not backed again, they're not pressured with like a deadline or a budget.
Yeah. We're
So
trying
this
to.
makes collaboration a lot easier.
Yeah,
Um,
I
yeah,
agree. I agree with all of this. We, on the other hand, would like to push more towards subscription, but still we would like to keep some one-time projects as well,
yeah,
just to have some fresh things going on and
yeah. I think
to.
you learn a lot from one of projects, not
Mm,
just about like the technical side, but also how to deal with clients because each client is so different,
yeah.
and like the way the challenges are so different. It also helps you. What you funnily enough, I learned how not to run a business by looking at some of the clients, the way they manage the company, the
Yeah.
way they manage the
Yeah.
team.
Me too.
It
Yeah.
it's just like there's no way I'm gonna be ever caught doing things like that or
Yeah.
doing things like that to team members. Something like that. It's interesting to see like how people run their business or how they run
Mhm.
teams, which is wild sometimes.
Based on all of this, what do you think? What people should look for when looking for a good Webflow agency for their
Oh, yeah,
website?
that's a good question. I think the first point is I know clients always come to agencies that have worked with companies within their industry.
Hmm.
So which is why a lot of people tell agencies to niche down, which we have done also. And that gets you the clients trust you a lot more. But from a client's point of view, I would choosing the right agency usually comes down to whether you trust them, whether even if they don't have the same
Yeah.
experience or have worked with the same company in the same industry, if you trust them, they will deliver. I think that's the most important thing,
Mm.
because sometimes clients, when even clients that do come to us, they they go to a different agency because they have worked with companies that are similar industry or they have experience in the industry.
Mhm.
But then often like they come back and say, oh, they weren't good enough or the ideas are not creative enough because for them it's just about creating the same thing again and again and again.
Mhm.
So for me, I would say choosing the right agency always comes down to whether you trust them to do the work that you want them to do. And it's not about portfolio and all of that is important, but I will almost say it's a secondary thing. I think if you
Yeah.
feel like if your gut feeling is right, I would say go with it. Um, and that comes with like the industry stuff. It most of the time, if they have experience with companies in the same industry, they bring in some expertise or
Mhm.
some nuance
Mhm.
data or experience that could be useful. Um, and then the third one is, yeah, I think trust and portfolio is like the main
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, yeah,
And I guess just want to ask, like, well, for example, if the project is completed, the website is completed, um, what is the thing that they should expect from if they're gonna continue working? I mean, how that relationship between the client and the agency should look like?
so for us, what we always do is we include um, a training session. So we usually include one or two training sessions for clients after the project is done. And we also do like free post delivery support for 2 to 4 weeks, depending on the size of the project. So that way we ensure the client has everything that they need to either run it themselves after they work with us or then present our own retainer or support packages so that they do have the support at the end. Sometimes we don't do it for clients because sometimes the clients don't need it, or if the
Mm-hmm.
website's small enough, or the client's not going to be updating the site very regularly. It makes sense for them to be just trained and let them have full control over the website. But I would say you don't always need a retainer with
Yeah.
an agency. I think it's important, unless you don't have the time. I would still say it's important for companies to learn how Webflow works and at least have one person in the company who understands some workings of Webflow, how to publish it, how to add new CMS, how to change certain things like the SEO settings and stuff like
Mm-hmm.
that. So
Mm-hmm.
you're not tied down or you don't have control over your website. It kind of goes back to the whole point of WordPress,
Mm-hmm.
where you have to have an agency to do it. Um, that's We have clients do come to us where they ask us for a support package, and then we ask them, what do you need us to do? And they
Mm-hmm.
say, oh, our current agency does updates or bug fixes or maintenance. And I'm like,
Yeah, right.
they are just scamming you. There's literally
Yeah.
nothing that they're doing.
Yeah.
And we don't do that sort of maintenance packages. We only do it if it's like ongoing work. Otherwise, there's no need for a
Yeah.
retainer.
I mean, when we finish the project, we always have this training session, like call like this, talking
Yeah,
with clients, showing them around, recording it, documenting it, and sending it.
yeah,
That's the things that they're supposed to do on their own. And even if
yeah,
you want to go even a step further and don't have a technical person in their team, then we can talk about creating a component system or something they can drag and
yeah,
edit.
yeah. That
Yeah.
makes sense.
In
Yeah.
that sense.
It's like sometimes like clients do have the expectation that, or if we have a website, we need somebody on a retainer
Mm,
to manage it, because that's the experience that they had with like WordPress and stuff. But I always tell them like it's not, even though it hurts my revenue sometimes, I just tell
mm,
them it's not like a must to have a retainer. You can maintain your site yourself.
yeah. But I like to push this agenda that, as we know, website cannot be a one time thing,
Yeah,
because
yeah,
everything
yeah,
else in life you need to keep pushing the right content in order to perform. Otherwise, it's gonna underperform. And if people, like everybody say like, oh, I wanna create my website in a way that converts well. I have a good SEO, but also be very flashy, shiny with nice animations and design.
yeah.
You cannot have both to the
No,
max. Can at
it's
some
funny
point.
because
Yeah.
sometimes I feel like this client definitely needs a retainer.
Yeah.
Like because they,
I know
there's
what
so
they
many
want
things
probably
that,
at this point.
yeah, like we have like ideas like, oh, you could do this, you could do that, but then yeah, they just like, oh no, it's okay, we don't need a retainer, which is
Yeah.
so weird sometimes to think about. But yeah, I think it depends on the client, but sometimes a retainer or like ongoing work is very important, especially for like SaaS companies
Yeah.
or companies that
You want to
rely.
grow,
If
it's a
you want to
must.
grow and if you rely on your website bringing you leads, I think the CRO, more than SEO, I would say CRO is more important. Controversial take, but
Well,
because
SEO and AEO are for the visibility and
visibilities, yeah. But a lot
they.
of the times, clients focus on like immediately focus on like SEO, like we want to get blogs, we want to get AI, like all that is a long term thing. Like
Mm,
you definitely need it, but it's not like as soon as you have a new website, you start putting blog posts, like 10 blog posts a day. Like that is I would say it's like more important to convert the users that already come on your website, because without that, they probably won't have a business anyway. So people are coming to your website one way or the other. I would
mhm,
say like it's important to try to maximize that and then focus on like trying to bring in more customers through like visibility with
mhm.
SEO, AIO. But like clients almost always have the opposite idea. Like they always think like, I need to bring in more SEO, more people on the
Uh,
website. But
Well,
it's
from my
like,
experience, all depends. Sometimes they don't have a lot of traffic, and they would like to change. And when it's that, yeah,
oh yeah,
obviously.
those are like the newer, smaller companies, and like, or like
But
they
yeah,
are,
if talking about the companies that do have a decent traffic, then
yeah, if
obviously,
they've been around for like the last 5 years or 10 years, like
yeah.
they have been getting customers one way or the other, whether
Mm,
that's through events or the website or networking or referrals. So they have a way to get customers and win customers. It's just that they should. I always tell them that it's better to focus on like trying to convert the ones that you already get anyways, and then focus on trying to get more of those.
yeah.
Because usually, yeah, we always get clients like, oh, do you know anyone who does SEO? And I'm just like, you don't even know who's coming on your website, where they're converting, what's the conversion rate. Like SEO is like great in like 6 months down the line, but now I think it's important just to get some base level conversions before you start spending on ads and spending on SEO to get more customers. That's the take I have, because at least for like companies that exist for a couple of years, or like they're large enough that SEO is not like like a must have thing right now. But
And we'll talk about SEO a little bit now. Um, what do you think? I mean, is there any? I mean, there is, but what do you think of this migration when they migrate content or migrate from one platform to another? What could be a potential risks for SEO in that sense?
I think the one thing that we warn them is, actually, again, I'm not very well versed in SEO, but from what I understand is, as long as you migrate properly with your URLs and your SEO titles and all of that preserved, and your mainly the URLs, I don't think there's a huge impact on SEO. Correct
Mm-hmm.
me if I'm wrong,
Mm-hmm.
but sometimes what we tell clients is like, look at your analytics and your SEO reports, see what are the most important thing that drives 80-90% of your traffic, migrate just those, and the rest just kill it. Because sometimes clients migrate, they have like 3,000 blog items, but only like 10 ever gets views, and everything else gets like 1 or 2 views.
Mm-hmm.
We always say it's better to cut them off. There's no SEO points on those. There's no
Yeah.
value on those. Just cut them off. You will see a SEO hit because there's less, pages and links being ranked and stuff, but it's not a huge deal. Like if you migrate your most important stuff over, that covers a lot of your issues. But
Mm-hmm.
there's usually a dip in SEO. That's something we noticed after they do even a Webflow to Webflow migration. There is usually a dip after the migration, and then it picks up. And clients usually get panicked a little bit when they see that.
Yeah.
But it is part of the risk of
Yeah. I mean,
migration. But
obviously, if you're gonna change URL and there's a
or
good
like
chance.
simplify.
Yeah, because
Yeah,
sometimes you wanna include a certain keywords, and if you change keyword, you're gonna change your.
exactly. Like they need to know like the risk, because sometimes there was one client where they had a resource page,
Mm-hmm.
but every resource was just one collection. So they
Yeah.
had their news, their editorials, their blogs, their events, like they had like 10 categories of
Yeah.
resource, but all of it was one collection. So they had like 60 fields, and like this is for blog, this is for news, and like conditional visibility and all that crap. And we were like, it is going to hurt your SEO because your links will all change, but it is so much better and so
Gonna
much
fix it.
easier for you. Yeah, if you just have everything as a separate collection. So that risk, like we had to tell them upfront, make sure they understand it, and then we do that change. Sometimes we had clients reach out where the agency made the decision without actually telling the client. And then the whole SEO thing tanked, and they got into like a bit of trouble with that. Um, but yeah.
Okay, since we're getting close to our end of the podcast, I know we can talk about these things all day, but let's limit it to a certain time limit. I mean, the amount of time that we wanted. Yeah. Anyway, what is the one final piece of advice you would like to give to the CMOs, for example, that wants to switch to Webflow in 2026?
One advice when they want to switch to Webflow, I would say, one, be sure and be very clear on why you're doing the change. Because sometimes we have seen leads wanting to move to Webflow, but they cannot explain why.
Hmm.
So they just say like, oh, conversions are bad, or we're not getting enough leads and stuff, and we want to move to Webflow. Like that will not fix the problem.
Yeah.
So be very clear on the reason for replatformization. Is usually you want to improve your operations, or you want to get more control of your website. You want a better look and feel. But if it's a much more of a structural problem where it's a messaging issue, or if it's a product clarity issue, or if it's just an organization issue, like nobody's owning the website, moving to Webflow is not going to solve your problem.
Yeah.
That's something that we see some enterprises. I think they see the problem, but the problem is not the website; it's more structural. Like they don't have ownership of the website. Multiple people have conflicting controls of the website. The CEO has his own personal opinion on the website, and moving to Webflow, it's actually going to make it worse because now you have more control, more design freedom. That
Yeah.
we have seen enterprise clients struggle sometimes to get the website live because now your decisions are endless. Your
Yeah.
capabilities are endless. So be very clear on why you're doing that change. Make sure it's a structural, operational choice rather than like trying to solve a problem that you just don't know what the solution is. The second thing is know what are the limits of Webflow. Sometimes clients have a very, especially large enterprise clients, they have a very, very large website with different platforms. So they have like a craft CMS, they have a WordPress CMS, they have their
Mhm.
own custom built CMS. All of it shares the same domain. So we can't migrate all of those to Webflow. So you got to know, like, let's say like your knowledge base, your support channels, your learning resource, all of that. Make sure they are hosted on like external platforms and like external domains, and only your marketing site goes into Webflow. Sometimes clients ask us to build like resource hubs, or when they have like 1,000 videos and stuff like that, we're like, there's no way you can do it on Webflow. Like some people will say you can do it, but it's so much easier to host it on like HubSpot or Zendesk rather than
Yeah.
trying to host it on Webflow. So be very clear, like Webflow is really good for marketing sites. It is very, very good for websites that are siloed. So when websites have like, I don't know, like ViDesigns.com, that's everything on the .com is marketing. And the moment it's an app, it goes in like a subdomain. If it's a support, it goes in like support.vdesigns.com.
Mhm. Mhm.
Then there's a perfect use case to migrate to Webflow. If you don't have that segmentation, I would say fix that before you move to Webflow, because it's going to be a mess when you try to change the domains and try to do reverse proxy and stuff.
Yeah. That's a good advice. And for the end, where listeners or the people interested can find you, learn more about you, connect with you, and things like this.
So LinkedIn is probably the best. So if you search for my name, I think there's only like 3 people with my name. So LinkedIn's where I'm not very active. I try to post at least once a week, but
I think you were more active before.
I was very active
Yeah.
before, but now it's again, I just don't have the time
Yeah.
uh, to do it. I do have a newsletter, so if you're on my LinkedIn, you should see a link to my newsletter. I'm a little bit more active there. I try to post every week or every other week, just what's going on in the business or what's in my mind every other week. Um, or Twitter, again, not very active, but if you want to get in touch, Twitter is also a good way to DM.
Yeah. And obviously the website, right?
The website, yeah, vdesigns.com. It's still .uk, but I bought the .com a few months ago for quite a hefty price, but I haven't migrated the site yet. So
I
vdesigns.com still works, but yeah,
Yeah,
need to do a
we are
migration.
.net. We are .net, and I want to buy .com, but it's expensive. So like, yeah, maybe.
Yeah,
No, I don't want to buy it. But it's
I was there. I've been eyeing the .com domain for like the last 3 years.
yeah,
I tried to negotiate and whatever, but they weren't budging, and I was just like, screw it, I'll just cough up. I think it was like $6,000 or something. Towards the year end, I was just like, you know what, screw it.
yeah,
At least it saves
yeah.
me on taxes.
Yeah, I mean that's
Um,
just first year. After that, it's like 15.
yeah,
Uh,
after it's like 15 a year. So I was like, you know what, I'll
but
just buy it. But I
yeah.
haven't done the migration, so it's still yeah,
By the
I
way,
need to. Yeah,
did that change anything to to your traffic or something because you have now .com?
I was actually no. Um, I think I think intuitively people just go for like vdesigns.com, and
Yeah.
then when they don't see it, they just search on Google for vdesigns.
Mm,
But I just felt like it's a little bit more professional if you have the .com, and it makes it a lot easier when you're sharing with clients. Because sometimes when I'm like .uk and they're like, oh, is it .co.uk? And I'm like, no, it's just .uk. kind of adds a bit of friction. It's also a bit of like a brand thing. I think having the .com again helps build the trust. And it looks like a real company and not like a small startup. But I need to spend some time to. Because one thing I was quite scared is with like the whole SEO stuff. When you migrate from .uk to .com, I'm scared I'll lose like the ranking or anything like that. So I don't want to touch it. I'll worry about it down
You
the
can
line.
just add it. You don't need to migrate. You can just add the domain, right?
Yeah, I added the domain. The .uk is still the default or the canonical. But I want the emails and stuff to be .com, but I don't know how to do it. So like one thing that's on my plate for the last 6 months.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, guys, that's it. Vimalan, thank you so much for this conversation. I really enjoyed when we talk about the business and things like this.
Same here. It was really nice to be a part. It's
Yeah.
been a long time since I did a podcast, so
Yeah,
interviews was very nice.
Okay. Thanks again, guys. This is, like I said, last podcast for this year. See you next year. Cheers.
Take care. Thank you.